Wim Hof, the Iceman.
Breaking a number of world records in the extreme cold.
The point of entry for understanding Wim Hof is that through breath, through consciousness, you can control the body to a degree not imagined before.
What I can do, anybody can do. It's only training. It's only awakening, because it's already there.
Hello and welcome to this first episode of Nexus on the Road. This week we're in the Netherlands to meet the great Iceman himself, Wim Hof. He's just finished a major TV series and Hollywood are about to make a movie about him. And I think that he is worthy of all this attention. Now, before we go to meet him, I'd like to show you our own mini movie about his life, about the extraordinary life of Wim Hof.
I've always been looking for what is life about. I found the missing link, the key to the depth of our physiology, the way nature has meant it to be. The cold brings you in a deeper connection with the deeper parts of the brain, which is not thinking, but only feeling. Pure silence from within and out. Silence.
Wim Hof holds 26 Guinness World Records.
When you hear someone's climbing Mount Everest in their shorts, you go, what? How's he doing that?
Hof set the Guinness World Record for the furthest swim under ice.
How is he able to survive?
He says it's easy.
He ran a full marathon in the desert without a single drop of water.
He surpassed what anyone thought the human body was capable of over and over.
But behind his incredible ability hides a horrible secret.
I lost the love of my life. When I was 22, I met my wife. She was not only pretty, she was amazingly vivid. Just a beautiful being. I had 4 children with her. 15 years I was with that woman until the day she kissed 4 children goodbye. And then she jumped from 8 stories down because she was suffering from mental disorder. That is what she did. That is a very important point in my life because I lost a love of my life, the mother of my children, the one with whom I should have been all my life. I was powerless then with my wife, who was schizophrenic and psychosis, that put all kinds of pills in and injections. Didn't work whatsoever. There I was, powerless. But now I'm empowered. My kids made me survive. The cold water healed me. Because when you go into the cold water, your mind becomes still. You are just surviving. You are just there. You are not thinking about anything, so you're not thinking about the sorrow as well. For a moment, it is gone. The cold brought me stillness in my mind. The breathing brought stillness, like control over the emotion. And then I did many records. And then the scientific world came to me, and they began to experiment. The scientists began to see, hey, but what this man is doing is physiologically not possible. So I said, what I can do, anybody can do. It's only training. It's only awakening, because it's already there. We are able, everybody, to tap into the autonomic nervous system in 2 days. I found this shortcut, the way nature has meant it to be.
Do you think your breathing techniques could have helped your wife?
Oh yes, absolutely. Sometimes you just need to let go, and the body is able to solve it all.
Wim, we've just watched that report together, and I know you liked it. But I also know there was a moment in there referring back in a way to your origins, to your beginnings. Yeah. And it was extremely sad, that origin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps you could tell us, what happened and
I
why
think
it got you
everybody
started.
in their lives have deep, sad moments. And it's like darkness. And in that darkness, to refine the purpose, the lust, the light of life itself can be very challenging, can be very difficult. In my case, it was the mother of my 4 children who just before jumping from 8 stories down, kissed her kids goodbye. How far, how deep you can go, I was shattered. My dreams were shattered, my being was shattered. Once you have a relationship so deeply connected to each other, you are torn, literally torn. And in this society, you don't get any moment for real processing the grief, the real, you are wounded in your heart. It's real, it's physical. So that mental agony coming therefrom didn't let me a real being creating a warm nest for us who remained in this life on this earth with 4 children, innocent, being there, also having to deal with the loss. I had to be Papa and Mama. I had to be the warmth, the energy at home. I had to create a home again. That was without money, and they're heartbroken. That is the way I really found the power of this method, which is based simply by going into the cold. You are not thinking, like you just said, like torture. To me, torture was the mental agony. Then the cold water was a relief because it gave me a moment of just being here, not into the thinking, into the mental agony. No, it gave me a moment to cut through this emotional agony into just being. The 4 children, they forced me to find a solution.
Yes. You knew the cold water was good for you since you were 17, because you were always a philosophical person. You always thought deeply, and you were drawn to the water when you were 17.
Yes.
But it was only because you reached that nadir of mental anguish that you realized this is more than just your daily dip that makes you feel good. This is something that will help you to survive your worst times and take you on.
Once you do things because you just do it, because you like it, has a complete different significance when you need something. I needed something, but I was not aware of what. But at that moment, I connected through my feeling, my mental, emotional agony, that I found out, hey, cold water is the only one that brings this down, that gives me a moment of relief, and thus the significance of going into the cold suddenly became part of my awareness. This is helping me.
Your wife committed suicide in 1995, and you started to deeply explore the benefits of the cold.
Yes.
And then came the records.
Yes. It's exactly, I think the trigger of this, my wife passing through suicide and me processing my mental agony, this anguish, that brought me into a path of deep awareness. I began to train so much that the television began to notice what I was doing.
Right. This is the local television now in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah, I began with the local newspaper, then the national newspaper, then a television, national TV came in, local TV came in, national TV, then international TV. Very swift, very rapidly after each other.
And of course, setting these world records gave you a platform from which you could then attract the scientific community and sort of propagate the Wim Hof method.
Exactly. When I was helpless with my wife, now I'm no longer helpless. Now I got the power of credibility through scientific research done. I got the cause and effect of every disease, mental, physical, is inflammation. We can bring it down. Through these techniques, I had to adapt myself to get through my anguish and all, then doing all kinds of world records showing that physiological impossible feats. Suddenly I was doing them. And then the scientists came in saying what he is doing is physiologically stated to be impossible. But he is doing it. So let's experiment on him. That's what they did. And then they found I was beating inflammation. I was going into the deepest part of the brain. I was going into the bone marrow. I was going into the DNA. All considered to be impossible by humans. And now I train everybody in the world because I don't want nobody to be helpless when they are in a situation like I was with my wife in 95.
Yeah. And the three pillars of this is exposure to the cold, breathing techniques,
yes,
and meditation.
Yes.
And well, we've done all of that today.
Yes.
You helped me with the breathing.
Yeah, you had a inflammation,
yes,
kind of issue with in the
yeah,
shoulder,
that's
the
right.
scapula.
Yeah.
And the chicken was gone. You flew. You flew.
I did
31, man.
31 push-ups instead of the usual
Since
3.
when didn't you do so many push-ups?
Years.
Years.
Yeah.
You
and
just did it.
I just did it. And then we did the ice.
Let it go. Put your hands on the thighs. Long breath.
And I have to say, I thought the ice would be easier. I've seen other people do it, and I said, man, that's easy. They're just making a big deal out of it. But when I went in, it was challenging. The hands go, the feet go.
The extremities.
Yeah, and then I was looking at you because I have faith in you, and I trust you.
Thank you.
And it kept me going. But, you do have the urge to get out.
Well done. Good. Yeah.
Now, in terms of, you say, the root of all kind of mental, physical evil is inflammation.
Yes.
So the breathing and the cold exposure and the meditation will get the inflammation down.
Yes.
And that has implications for all manner of diseases. You're talking about, for example, lupus, autoimmune diseases.
Autoimmune diseases. Cancer is also inflammation-based.
Yeah, obviously.
Depression is inflammation-based. Coronary diseases, inflammation-based. It's all inflammation.
And even depression.
Depression, yes. Inflammation. Causing hormonal imbalance by which the serotonin uptake goes down.
Now, Wim, I've told you already, for me, your method works. That's great. Anecdotally, I've heard many other people saying it works. But scientifically, I've read through a few of the different papers on you. They tend to support what you say, but quite often they say that the groups, the clinical trials, as it were a bit too small. What are you going to do to take this to a bigger scientific forum and really get it tested?
First of all, know that natural methods that are able to bring down inflammation and it doesn't make money is not interesting.
You mean to the pharmaceutical, medical industry?
What I can give is that this method, it really works. It doesn't make money, but it gives you health. It gives you much more health, happiness, and strength. You get a much better hold of your hormonal system, immune system, to a much deeper level, by which disease becomes completely different. Depression, which is mood. If you learn to go into the cold, you learn to deal with your mood. You pacify your mood while you're going in. This is like the outer. What happens inside is that we learn to go into the brainstem. And the brainstem is about fear, about deep emotions. We get a hold of that by training to go into the cold. Thus, our mood regulation is absolutely there. We learn to regulate our mood in stress of daily life. So then depression is not there. Because the mood goes down when depression is lost. That is dopamine, serotonin, Our hormonal system is much more within our control. Just doing this. So where I want to go with this, bigger studies and all, yes, I challenge any scientific established doctor, prove me wrong.
And you're working with big universities in America,
Yes.
right?
UCSF in Detroit, Hanover, Montreal, Heidelberg, Nijmegen, and various...
These studies are ongoing, and
yes.
they're really interested.
Yes, they are ongoing on bipolar, cardiology, on trauma, on DNA. So this is, let me tell you, I'm not only believe and convinced, but this is the future. We are looking for more autonomy within ourselves. If COVID has shown something, it was being helpless.
Talking about COVID, I mean, people were dying because of these cytokine storms.
Exactly.
Which is all the inflammation.
Cytokine storm, we have proven in 2014 to bring that down.
So what happened during the pandemic? Did you get through?
No. What is interesting is vaccinations and restrictions and control. I don't know what they do, but the science is telling that we are able to bring down the inflammatory markers responsible for the cytokine storm.
So when people were
dying...
That
is the IL-6, IL-8, interleukin 6, interleukin 8, they are going down.
Yeah.
By doing this, they are going down. And anti-inflammatory markers, they go up. That is the one that fights the wrong cytokines.
But did the medical establishment reach out to you and say, this is an emergency, we need to know how to do this?
I think it is this.
Yeah, it's very sad.
That is the real disease.
Yeah.
So let me tell you this for whatever the pharmaceutical industry and medical understanding, they just can look up the interleukins, the inflammatory markers, responsible for inflammation. Inflammation is cause and effect of any disease. And we can suppress inflammation more than considerably within 15 minutes, just doing this.
I'm going to get to a slightly thorny issue now.
Yeah.
Because not everyone agrees with you,
No.
and you know that, right?
Yes.
There's a particular scientist, a guy called Wouter van Marken-Lichtenbelt.
And Wouter van Marken-Lichtenbelt.
He's one of the scientists who studied
nuclear scientist in Maastricht.
Yeah, and he used to study you, and he said, Hof's scientific vocabulary is gallimacious, which apparently means confused and meaningless talk. With conviction, he mixes in a nonsensical way scientific terms as irrefutable evidence. Now, I'm not particularly well versed in medical terms, so I have to ask you, does he have a point?
Yes, maybe he's got a point. But the point is, he is wrong. Let me tell you, I did several studies with him, research, and very profound, amazing results I showed. Compared to others, for example, I showed 400-500% more metabolic activity, rate, energy, being able to stay for 3 hours and 10 degrees in my shorts, and then producing 400-500% more than his test subjects. He said, this man, he said, we have found the secret of his technique, which of his power, and that is brown fat.
Right.
Now listen, he is the authority in the world called a authority of the cold physiology on brown fat. That's him. He does great work. Only he was mistaken in my case. Because the other day in the newspaper it was said, we have the secret of the Iceman, according to Marken van Lichtenbelt, professor, Maastricht, etc., nuclear science, fMRIs and all that. And Wim Hof possesses a lot of brown fat. And it's not. It's not, but that's his conclusion. So his conclusion actually is mistaken and has been evidence-based, proven wrong in Detroit, where I did a experiment with Professor Otto Musik and Professor Vaibhav Divakar, going into a brain scan and fMRI to be exposed by icy water on my skin. Just using my mind, I was able to make my skin temperature not going down while icy water was being poured over my skin. And then they saw I was activating so much energy from the intercostal muscle activity. Imagine the world's authority on brown fat is telling me that, and they found out in the fMRIs that I actually possess little bits of brown fat. But my intercostal muscle activity, unknown in science to be activated at will, I showed it for the first time, was enormously producing so much energy that the cold water by icy water was not able to cool my skin down. And I was motionless, so not moving it. That is in fMRIs. So I prove Marco van Lichtenbelt. For the rest, he is doing great work, but he doesn't understand me. He doesn't understand the physiology I am showing. So that he is telling that from his field, I can prove him wrong. That is one. Two is, I meet many professors. If you take Professor Charlie Teo, who's a neurosurgeon, very well known, a brilliant one, he was here, he was saying, Wim, I lecture all over the world on all the universities, but you know more. This is what he says. And what I say, when we, in 2014, when we showed in the E. coli and the toxemia experimental scientific model, comparative study, to bring down inflammation within 15 minutes, after 16,000 people who did not, then the whole scientific community should have lifted up and say, Eureka! We found a way to bring down inflammation. But you don't hear anybody. They are all very nice seated in the seats of establishment, being a doctor with the knowledge they have and not exploring real natural ways to bring down the cause and effect of disease.
Wim, only in the last few years, you've really become incredibly famous. You know, you've done a major television series. Hollywood is going to make a film about you. You've got an app which has been downloaded so many times now. And you have 2.5 million Instagram followers. I know you want to give this Wim Hof method to people from your heart because you want to see them heal. But there is a material consideration here.
Oh, yeah. It's a company.
You're getting famous. Maybe you're also making more money as a result. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, is there a danger that you will eventually become corrupted like so many people have, and you'll concentrate on the material rather than the mission?
Yeah, it's always a good question. No, 5 weeks ago, a mother came here, and she had 2 children with her, 5 and 7 years. And they have both suffering from brain tumors. These are innocent children. And this mother came to me because nobody is able to help her. So she comes to me because I got a name. And I said, listen, I do anything in my power to help you. I will be at your side because they are innocent. And what I can do, I will display, I will do. And they began to go playfully into the cold, doing the breathing exercises, not even to the extreme as you did. Like, it's 5 years old and 7 years old, but they did it together with their mother. Within 1 week,
their white blood cells increased 10 times. The Department of Cancer of the hospital, big hospital here in the Netherlands, they never saw a thing like that. When I see that I'm able to help with this method to relieve unnecessary suffering in children, in humans, I will keep on doing it. It's my mission. I will be very clear about it, and I will never, ever be corrupted by name or fame or money. It's not of my interest.
And on that note, we'll leave it. Thank you so much, Wim, for having us. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Right on. Thank you very much.
And thank you at home and on your phones for watching. Remember, if you want to see this episode again or any of our previous episodes, go to our channel on YouTube. Just type in Nexus, TRT World. Until next week then, from Wim and I, goodbye.
Keep it cool.